Hello there, and welcome to Cosmic Sleep Stories. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe you've wondered about light, about energy, about what you're truly made of at the deepest level. Or perhaps you're simply seeking a peaceful journey into the fundamental nature of reality. Either way, you're exactly where you need to be. You can rest now. Tonight, you have nothing to do but let go. Let your breathing slow, steady as the eternal flow of energy through the universe. Let your body relax, sinking into comfort like a photon being absorbed and transformed, never destroyed, only changed from one form to another. Let your mind drift into the understanding that everything around you, everything you are, is ultimately light in different disguises. Over the next hour and more, we'll explore together one of the most beautiful truths in physics. Light isn't just one form of energy among many. It's the fundamental currency of the universe, the thing all other energies are secretly trying to become. Every atom in your body, every force holding you together, every thought firing through your neurons, all of it is light wearing different costumes, energy organized temporarily into patterns we call matter. Some facts will fascinate you. Others will simply wash over you like waves of electromagnetic radiation, leaving only soft impressions as you drift towards sleep. And that's perfectly fine. There's no need to remember every detail. Just let yourself be carried by the wonder of it all, by the deep truth that you are, quite literally, made of frozen photons, of energy that has learned to hold still and think. The boundary between light and solid objects is purely an illusion created by how fast things are vibrating, by how energy has organized itself temporarily into forms that seem stable but are actually in constant flux, constantly exchanging photons with the environment, constantly transforming while maintaining patterns that persist. And before we begin our journey into the nature of light and energy, if these quiet explorations help you unwind at the end of your day, consider subscribing to Cosmic Sleep Stories. It helps others find this peaceful corner of physics, one sleepy soul at a time. Now, close your eyes if you'd like. Breathe slowly, feeling yourself held by Earth even as your mind prepares to understand what you truly are beneath the illusion of solidity. And let's begin our gentle journey into the heart of energy itself. Think about the last time you turned on a light switch. That simple action, something you've done thousands of times without thought, is actually one of the most profound demonstrations of the universe's fundamental nature. When that bulb lights up, what's really happening is extraordinary. Electrons are being excited, jumping to higher energy states in the atoms of the filament or in the gas of a fluorescent tube. And when they fall back down to their normal states, they don't fall silently. They scream. They release their excess energy in the only way they can, by emitting photons, particles of pure electromagnetic radiation that we perceive as light. This isn't poetry or metaphor. This is quantum mechanics, the deepest description of reality we have. Every interaction in the universe that involves energy transfer is ultimately a conversation happening in photons. Atoms talk to each other by exchanging light. Chemical reactions happen through the electromagnetic interactions mediated by photons. Even the forces holding your body together are carried by virtual photons, quantum messengers flickering in and out of existence faster than anything we can measure. And here's what will quietly amaze you as you drift towards sleep. Those photons aren't carrying energy like a truck carries cargo. They are energy in its purest, most fundamental form. A photon is energy that has taken form, energy that has become a thing, a quantum of electromagnetic radiation with no mass, no substance, just pure energetic existence moving at the cosmic speed limit. Let me take you back to 1905, to a moment that changed everything. A young patent clerk named Albert Einstein, only 26 years old, published a paper about something called the photoelectric effect. Now, you might have heard about this in school and forgotten it immediately because it was presented as some dry fact about electrons and metal plates. But what Einstein actually discovered was far more radical. He proved that light doesn't behave like a continuous wave spreading through space the way everyone thought. Instead, it comes in discrete packets, little bullets of pure energy called photons. Each photon carries a specific amount of energy determined by its frequency, described by the elegantly simple equation where energy equals Planck's constant multiplied by frequency. But here's what most people miss about this discovery. This meant that energy itself is quantized, that it comes in specific, indivisible amounts, like money comes in coins rather than being infinitely divisible. And photons, particles of light, are the smallest coins in the universe's currency system. They're the fundamental units. Everything else, every other form of energy you can name, is built from or convertible to these basic units of electromagnetic radiation. Think of the universe as a giant economy where energy is the currency that makes everything happen. In this economy, photons are like gold, the universal standard that everything else is measured against. You can have energy locked up in chemical bonds. That's like money in a savings account. You can have kinetic energy from motion. That's like money actively circulating. You can have nuclear energy stored in atoms. That's like wealth stored in real estate. But ultimately, every form of wealth in this cosmic economy can be converted back to the gold standard, back to photons, back to light. And that conversion isn't just possible. It's inevitable. Everything in the universe wants to become light eventually. That's the second law of thermodynamics wearing a disguise we'll remove later. The universe has a preference, a direction, an arrow pointing toward the state where all energy has been converted to electromagnetic radiation, to photons spreading through ever-expanding space. As you rest now, let this sink in. The warmth you feel from your body, photons radiating away as infrared light. The screen you might be looking at, photons in the visible spectrum. The wireless signals around you, photons at radio frequencies your eyes can't detect. The battery in your phone storing chemical energy, waiting to release it as more photons when it eventually degrades. Everything is photons or waiting to become photons. Let your breathing match the eternal rhythm of energy transformation. Breathe in, energy organizing. Breathe out, energy dispersing. And let yourself drift deeper into relaxation as we explore why light is so special, why it's the form of energy that the universe seems to prefer above all others. Before Einstein's revelation about photons, another physicist had already discovered something profound about light. In the 1860s, a Scottish physicist named James Clerk Maxwell was trying to understand electricity and magnetism, which in his era were thought to be two completely separate phenomena. Through brilliant mathematical insights, Maxwell realized they were actually two aspects of the same thing, electromagnetism. He wrote down 4 equations that completely describe how electric and magnetic fields interact, how they create each other, how they propagate through space. But when Maxwell solved his own equations, he found something unexpected hiding in the mathematics. His equations predicted that oscillating electric and magnetic fields would create waves that propagate through space at a specific speed. When he calculated that speed, it came out to be exactly the speed of light, about 300 million meters per second. This couldn't be a coincidence. In one of the greatest moments of scientific insight, Maxwell realized that light is an electromagnetic wave. Those 4 equations didn't just describe electricity and magnetism. They described light itself. And if light is an electromagnetic wave, then what we call visible light must be just a small slice of a much larger spectrum. He was right. We now know that radio waves, microwaves, infrared, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays are all the same fundamental thing, electromagnetic radiation vibrating at different frequencies. Your microwave oven and your flashlight are producing the same phenomenon. Only the frequency changes. Only the energy per photon differs. This is your first moment of quiet wonder. The light hitting your eyes right now is the exact same stuff as the radio waves passing through your body carrying information, the same as the X-rays that can photograph your bones, the same as the gamma rays streaming from distant supernovas. It's all electromagnetic radiation, all photons, just playing different notes on the same cosmic instrument. The universe has one fundamental way of transmitting energy through space, and it plays that one song at every frequency imaginable, from radio waves with wavelengths measured in kilometers to gamma rays with wavelengths smaller than atoms. And you, lying here resting, are bathed in this symphony of light at all frequencies, most of it invisible to your eyes, but real nonetheless, carrying energy, transmitting information, connecting everything in the cosmos. Let yourself feel that connection. Every photon that touches you came from somewhere, carried energy across space, and will continue its journey after interacting with you, absorbed and re-emitted, transformed but not destroyed, part of the endless flow of energy through the universe. Now we need to talk about Einstein's second revolutionary contribution, the one that reveals the deepest connection between light and all other forms of energy. In that same miraculous year, 1905, Einstein published another paper on special relativity. You've heard of it, probably know it involves time dilation and moving clocks. But the most profound implication isn't about time or space. It's about mass and energy. From the mathematics of special relativity, Einstein derived what would become the most famous equation in history. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. Now, most people glance at this equation and think it means mass and energy are related somehow. But that vastly understates what's being said here. This equation is telling us something radical. Mass and energy aren't just related. They're the same thing. Mass is energy, just energy in a different form, energy that's been locked up, concentrated, compressed into what we perceive as solid matter. And that speed of light squared term tells us how much energy is locked up in even a tiny amount of mass. It's a staggering amount. 1 kilogram of matter, if you could convert it entirely to energy, would release about 90 quadrillion joules, equivalent to about 21 megatons of TNT. That's more than the largest nuclear weapon ever tested, all from just 1 kilogram of mass. Think about what this means. The atoms making up your body, the chair you're sitting on, the planet beneath your feet, all of it is concentrated energy. The universe is made of energy that's learned how to sit still and pretend to be solid. Matter is energy in costume, energy in disguise. And that energy wants to return to its natural state. It wants to become light again. Nuclear reactions, whether fusion in the sun or fission in nuclear reactors, are just matter partially converting back to its true form, electromagnetic radiation. Every photon streaming from the sun started as matter, as hydrogen atoms crushing together in the sun's core, converting a tiny fraction of their mass into energy, into light. That sunbeam touching your skin right now traveled 93 million miles. But before that, it spent tens of thousands of years bouncing around inside the sun's dense interior. And before that, it was matter. It was mass locked up in hydrogen nuclei. And now it's light, pure energy in motion, traveling at the cosmic speed limit, carrying its energy away from the sun to be absorbed by something else, perhaps by your skin, warming you, powering the chemical reactions in your cells. As you drift now, contemplate this truth. You are made of trapped light. The electrons orbiting your atoms, the quarks making up your protons and neutrons, all of it is energy that's been convinced through quantum mechanical processes to stay in one place, to act like it has substance and solidity. But fundamentally, there's no difference between you and a beam of light except for speed and organization. You're both energy. You're both following the same physical laws. You're both participants in the universe's endless game of converting between matter and radiation, between organized and dispersed states, between pattern and randomness. The only difference is that your energy organized into a pattern stable enough to persist for a while, to maintain itself, to think and feel and wonder about its own nature. Let that understanding bring peace. You're not separate from the light around you. You're made of the same fundamental stuff, just arranged differently, vibrating at different frequencies, existing in a different state. And someday, not today, not for a long time, but eventually, the energy that makes you will return to its most fundamental form. It will become light again, photons radiating away, carrying forward the energy that briefly was organized into the pattern called you. Now, let's explore something even stranger. If matter is concentrated energy and photons are energy in motion, then what's the relationship between them? Can they transform into each other? Can light become matter and matter become light? The answer is absolutely yes, and it happens more often than you might think. In particle accelerators like the Large Hadron Collider, physicists routinely create matter from pure energy. They slam photons together at enormous energies, and out pop particles, electrons, positrons, sometimes heavier particles. Light literally becomes matter before their eyes. This isn't magic or alchemy. It's Einstein's equation running in reverse. Energy becomes mass. Photons become particles. But here's what's truly strange. When light becomes matter, it always creates particles in pairs, matter and antimatter together, an electron and a positron, a quark and an antiquark, never just one. This isn't an arbitrary rule. It's a consequence of conservation laws. The universe keeps meticulous books. If you want to create a particle with negative charge out of photons which have no charge, you must simultaneously create a particle with positive charge. The universe's accounts must balance perfectly. This reveals something profound. Matter isn't just frozen energy. It's frozen energy that carries labels, quantum numbers, conserved properties that photons lack. When energy becomes matter, it's not just putting on a costume. It's taking on a whole identity with charge, spin, quantum numbers that must be carefully managed. And once it has that identity, it can't easily shed it. Think of it like this. Photons are like cash, universally accepted, infinitely liquid, easy to exchange. Particles of matter are like money invested in complex financial instruments with restrictions on when and how you can cash out. You can do it, but you need the right conditions, the right partner transaction, the right energy levels. That's why your body doesn't spontaneously annihilate into a flash of gamma rays. The electrons in your atoms would need to find positrons to annihilate with, and positrons are rare in our universe. The quarks in your protons would need to find antiquarks. It's not impossible. It's just highly improbable in the low-energy, matter-dominated universe we inhabit. But in the early universe, in the first fraction of a second after the Big Bang, things were different. Back then, the universe was so hot, so energy-dense, that photons were constantly turning into particle-antiparticle pairs, and those pairs were immediately annihilating back into photons. The universe was a seething soup where matter and light were in equilibrium, constantly converting back and forth. Only as the universe expanded and cooled did this equilibrium break down. Matter became stable, long-lived, capable of forming atoms and molecules, and eventually stars and planets and you. But most of the matter and antimatter annihilated each other, leaving behind only a tiny excess of matter, about one extra matter particle for every billion matter-antimatter pairs. Those extra particles survived the Great Annihilation and became everything we see. Galaxies, stars, planets, your body, all of it made from the leftover matter that didn't find its antimatter partner in time. You are made from survivor matter, descended from particles that escaped annihilation in the first seconds of existence. As you rest now, think about that cosmic lottery. You shouldn't exist. By all rights, the universe should have converted entirely back into light in its first second. But a tiny asymmetry, a subtle bias we still don't fully understand, meant some matter survived. And that survivor matter eventually organized itself into stars and planets, and life and consciousness. Existence itself is an accident, a fortunate imbalance, a deviation from perfect symmetry that allowed the universe to become interesting, to develop structure and complexity, to create beings capable of understanding their own origins. And now you, lying here peacefully, are part of that story, a temporary organization of survivor atoms, energy that escaped the Great Annihilation and learned to think. Let yourself be amazed by that, but gently, peacefully. You don't need to do anything with this knowledge right now except rest in it. Let it support you like the ground beneath you. Let it be a source of comfort rather than anxiety. You're part of something vast and ancient and ongoing, and that's beautiful. Now we need to talk about how you experience light, about the connection between photons and consciousness, between electromagnetic radiation and your subjective experience of seeing and knowing. Because this is where energy becomes awareness, where the physical becomes the mental, where light literally transforms into thought. Right now, if your eyes are open, photons are entering them. These photons traveled from their source, perhaps a lamp or a screen, perhaps reflecting off objects in the room, and now they're passing through the lens of your eye, being focused onto your retina at the back of your eyeball. On your retina are molecules called rhodopsin and rod cells and different photopigments in cone cells. When a photon hits one of these molecules, it causes a shape change, a transformation from one configuration to another. This shape change triggers a cascade of chemical reactions that eventually generate an electrical signal in the optic nerve. That signal travels to your brain, specifically to your visual cortex, where it's processed, integrated with signals from memory and other senses, and somehow, through mechanisms we still don't fully understand, gives rise to the subjective experience of seeing. The photon, having delivered its energy, ceases to exist. The quantum of electromagnetic energy has been converted into chemical energy, then electrical energy, then neural activity, then conscious experience. Every single thing you see involves this process. The transformation of light into sight happens at a rate of trillions of photons per second entering your eyes, each one absorbed by a molecule, each one triggering cascades of reactions, each one contributing to your visual field, to your experience of the world. Think about that for a moment. Your visual experience of reality is built from ancient sunlight. The photons entering your eyes right now might have been created in the sun's core tens of thousands of years ago when the energy was first released in fusion reactions. They random walked outward through the sun's dense interior for millennia, finally escaped into space, traveled for 8 minutes to Earth, bounced off or transmitted through various objects. And now they're ending their journey in your retina, converted into the neural signals that become your vision. You're literally seeing ancient sunlight, photons that began their journey before recorded human history, now ending in your consciousness. And this is happening constantly, every moment you have your eyes open. You're consuming light, transforming it, turning electromagnetic radiation into experience, into knowledge, into the felt sense of being present in a visual world. As you drift toward sleep, as your eyes close or your vision becomes less focused, fewer photons are reaching your retina. The visual input is diminishing. And without that constant stream of light being converted to neural activity, your brain shifts to a different mode. It begins to generate its own imagery, pulling from memory, creating the visual experiences we call dreams, or simply going dark, entering the dreamless state where consciousness itself dims like a light being turned down. Let yourself approach that dimming now. Let the light of awareness grow softer. Let fewer photons need to be processed. Let your visual cortex rest from its constant work of transforming light into sight. You don't need to see right now. You can let vision fade. Let the transformation of photons into consciousness slow down. Let the light grow dim until only the peaceful darkness of sleep remains. Your body itself is generating heat right now, about 100 watts of thermal power, similar to a bright incandescent bulb. That heat is radiating away from your skin as infrared photons, invisible light carrying energy into the environment. This is energy your metabolism is producing by breaking down food molecules, by running the chemical reactions that keep you alive. And if you trace it back, that energy came from food, from plants or animals that ate plants. And plants got their energy from the sun through photosynthesis, the process where chlorophyll molecules absorb photons and use that energy to convert carbon dioxide and water into glucose and oxygen. So the energy flowing through you right now started as fusion reactions in the sun's core, was released as gamma rays that slowly worked their way to the sun's surface, was emitted as visible light that traveled to Earth, was absorbed by plants, was passed through the food chain to you, was broken down in your mitochondria to create ADP, was used to power all your cellular processes. And now the waste heat from all those inefficient chemical reactions is radiating from your body as photons. Again, circle complete. Light becomes matter, becomes chemistry, becomes light again. Everything in biology is just a detour in light's journey through the universe. You're a temporary way station where photons pause, organize themselves into complex patterns, do interesting things for a while, then continue on their way in different forms. This is why light is the universal currency. It's the form of energy that can travel freely through the vacuum of space. It's the form that matter converts to most readily when releasing energy. It's the form that requires no medium, no substance to propagate. It just goes, traveling through absolute nothingness at the universe's speed limit. Every other form of energy is somehow constrained, limited, local. Kinetic energy requires mass and motion. Potential energy requires position in a field. Chemical energy requires molecular bonds. Nuclear energy requires proximity of particles. But photons are free. They're the liberated form of energy, the thing all other energies aspire to become. As you rest now, feel the energy flowing through you. Feel the heat radiating from your skin, invisible photons carrying away the energy of your metabolism. Feel your heartbeat, driven by electrical signals, which are themselves mediated by charged particles exchanging virtual photons. Feel your breathing, pulling in oxygen that will be used to release energy from food, energy that ultimately came from sunlight. You're a node in the vast network of energy flow through the universe, a temporary eddy in the stream, a place where energy organizes itself into patterns before flowing onward. And that's beautiful. You don't need to be permanent to be meaningful. You don't need to last forever to matter. You just need to be, right now, participating in the cosmic flow, experiencing and understanding your moment of organization before the energy moves on. Let that perspective bring peace. Let yourself be just one moment in an eternal flow, just one pattern in an endless succession of patterns, just one organization in the universe's long dance of organizing and disorganizing, complexifying and simplifying, creating structure and letting it dissolve. You're part of the dance. You are the dance. And right now, the dance is slowing down, approaching rest, moving toward the temporary stillness of sleep. Every chemical reaction happening in your body right now, every thought crossing your mind, every beat of your heart, all of it is powered by energy that came from the sun. Let me trace that path more carefully because it reveals something profound about the interconnection of all living things through light. Plants capture photons from the sun through photosynthesis. Inside chloroplasts, specialized molecular machinery uses light energy to split water molecules, releasing oxygen and using the freed electrons to convert carbon dioxide into glucose. This glucose is stored chemical energy, sunlight locked up in molecular bonds. When you eat plants, or when you eat animals that ate plants, you're consuming that stored sunlight. Your digestive system breaks down the glucose molecules. Your mitochondria, the tiny power plants in your cells, use oxygen to break those bonds and capture the released energy in molecules called ADP, adenosine triphosphate. ADP is the universal energy currency in biology. Every cell in your body uses ADP to power its processes. When a muscle contracts, it's using ADP. When a neuron fires, it's using ADP. When your cells synthesize proteins or repair DNA or pump ions across membranes, they're using ADP. And where did that ADP get its energy? From glucose. Where did glucose get it? From sunlight. Every movement you make, every thought you have, every cellular process keeping you alive is powered by ancient sunlight that was captured by plants and transferred to you through the food chain. But the energy doesn't stop with you. Your body is constantly radiating heat, infrared photons carrying away the waste energy from all those inefficient biochemical reactions. You're glowing in the infrared, invisible to your eyes but visible to thermal cameras, emitting about 100 watts of thermal radiation, similar to a bright incandescent bulb. That heat radiating from your skin is energy leaving your body, photons carrying away the remnants of sunlight that powered your cells. Those photons will be absorbed by other objects, warming them slightly, continuing the endless cascade of energy transformation that fills the universe. This is the circle of energy that sustains all life on Earth. Sunlight arrives from the sun, traveling 8 minutes across 93 million miles of space. It's absorbed by plants through photosynthesis, stored as chemical energy in organic molecules. Those molecules are consumed by animals, broken down to release their energy, used to power biological processes, and the waste heat is radiated away as infrared light. Circle complete. Light becomes matter, becomes life, becomes light again. And this cycle has been running for billions of years, ever since the first photosynthetic organisms evolved and learned to capture sunlight, creating the oxygen-rich atmosphere that made complex life possible. You're part of that ancient cycle. You're a temporary participant in the flow of energy from the sun through the biosphere. The atoms in your body have cycled through countless other organisms over billions of years. The energy flowing through you right now has powered countless other living things before you and will power countless more after you're gone. This perspective should be humbling and comforting simultaneously. You're not separate from nature, not above it or outside it. You're deeply embedded in it, participating in the same energy flows that have sustained life since the beginning. You're part of something vast and ancient, a continuation of processes that began billions of years ago and will continue billions of years into the future. As you rest now, feel that connection. Feel the energy flowing through you, inherited from the sun, passed through plants and animals, now animating your cells, powering your thoughts, maintaining your consciousness. You're a conduit for sunlight, a temporary channel through which solar energy flows before returning to its fundamental form as radiated heat. And when you sleep, those processes continue. Your metabolism doesn't stop. Your cells keep working, your heart keeps beating, your brain keeps processing and consolidating memories. All of it powered by energy stored in your cells, energy that came from your last meal, that came from plants or animals, that came from the sun, that came from fusion reactions converting mass to energy according to Einstein's equation. You're never separate from the cosmic energy flow. You're always part of it, always participating, always converting and transforming energy from one form to another, maintaining your organized complexity against the constant pull of entropy, holding your pattern together for as long as your biological machinery can manage. Let yourself feel held by that flow, supported by that ancient cycle, connected to every other living thing through the energy that powers you all. And let that connection be a source of peace as consciousness begins to fade, as the need for waking awareness diminishes, as sleep approaches with its temporary cessation of conscious energy expenditure. Now we need to contemplate the arrow of time, the direction of change, the flow from past to future that gives existence its structure. Because the arrow of time is intimately connected to light, to the transformation of energy from organized to dispersed forms, from concentrated to diffused states. The second law of thermodynamics says that entropy, a measure of disorder or randomness, always increases in isolated systems. This isn't just a tendency, it's a statistical certainty. There are vastly more disordered states than ordered states, so systems naturally evolve toward disorder. You can scramble an egg, but not unscramble it. You can burn wood, but not unburn it. Time flows in the direction of increasing entropy. And what is the universe doing as entropy increases? It's converting organized forms of energy into photons. It's converting matter into radiation. It's spreading energy out more and more diffusely until eventually, trillions of years from now, everything reaches thermal equilibrium, the same temperature everywhere, no energy gradients left to drive any processes. This final state is called heat death, and it's a universe filled with extremely low-energy photons. The universe begins concentrated and organized, and it ends diffuse and disorganized. And the mechanism of that transformation is light. Matter converts to radiation. Energy disperses as photons. Everything trends toward becoming light, dim light, cold light, spreading through infinite expanding space forever. The arrow of time points in the direction of increasing radiation, increasing light. Everything that exists in concentrated form is temporary. Given enough time, it will all become photons. We're living in the brief era when not everything is light yet, when matter still exists, when energy gradients still drive interesting processes. But the ultimate state is all photons, all the time, forever. This could sound depressing, but as you drift toward sleep, let it be comforting instead. There's a unity to it, a simplicity underlying all the complexity. The universe began with light and matter in equilibrium. It went through a complicated middle phase where matter became stable and structure formed. And it will end with light again, cold and dim but eternal. You're part of the middle phase, the interesting part, the part where complexity is possible. You're a temporary concentration of organization, a brief flowering of structure in the universe's long slide toward simplicity. And that's okay. That's how it should be. The transience is what makes it precious. If everything lasted forever, nothing would matter. It's the temporary nature of organized complexity that gives it value, that makes your experiences significant. So as you lie here, as sleep approaches, as consciousness prepares to dissolve temporarily into the unconscious darkness, remember that this daily cycle mirrors the cosmic cycle. You wake, organize yourself, do complex things, then disperse that organization in sleep, returning temporarily to a simpler state. And tomorrow you'll wake again, reorganize, continue the pattern for another day. The universe does the same thing on a vastly larger scale. It organized itself from the Big Bang. It's doing complex things now, and eventually it will return to simplicity, to equilibrium, to a state where nothing interesting can happen anymore because there are no energy gradients left to drive change. But that's trillions of years away. Right now, complexity is possible. Consciousness is possible. Understanding is possible. And you're experiencing it, participating in it, being it. You're the universe becoming conscious of itself, if only briefly, if only in this small corner of space and time. Let that be enough. Let this moment be sufficient. You don't need to last forever to have value. You don't need to prevent the heat death to matter. You just need to be, now, experiencing and understanding, loving and creating, participating in the brief era when such things are possible. And now, let yourself approach your own temporary heat death, your nightly return to lower organization, your dissolution into sleep. Let the complex patterns of waking consciousness simplify. Let thought become less structured. Let awareness become more diffuse. Let the light of consciousness dim and dim until only the peaceful darkness remains. Before we let you drift into complete rest, let's explore one more aspect of light's fundamental role in reality. The quantum mechanical strangeness that makes photons truly bizarre, truly unlike anything in our everyday experience. Because understanding this final piece will show you just how deep the connection between light and reality actually goes. Photons don't just carry energy. They exist in a state of fundamental quantum superposition until the moment they're observed. They're simultaneously particles and waves, following all possible paths through space at once, their behavior determined by probability amplitudes that interfere with each other like ripples on a pond. The famous double-slit experiment demonstrates this perfectly. Send photons one at a time through two slits, and each photon somehow passes through both slits simultaneously, interfering with itself, creating a wave pattern on the detector screen. But the moment you try to measure which slit the photon went through, the interference pattern disappears. The act of observation changes the outcome. This isn't just weird. This reveals something profound about the nature of reality itself. The universe doesn't exist in definite states until it's observed. Before measurement, before interaction, quantum systems exist in superpositions of all possible states simultaneously. Only when they interact with something else, when information about their state becomes encoded in the environment, do they collapse into definite classical states. And photons are the primary mediators of this process. Most measurements in physics involve photons. When you see something, photons are bouncing off it and entering your eyes. When a detector measures a particle's position, it usually involves absorbing or emitting photons. Light is how information propagates through the universe, how quantum superpositions collapse into classical definiteness. In a very real sense, light isn't just showing you reality. Light is creating reality moment by moment, forcing the quantum universe to make choices, to collapse wave functions, to convert probability into actuality. The universe uses light to communicate with itself, to update its state, to propagate causality and information. Think about what this means for consciousness. Your visual experience right now is built from photons entering your eyes. Those photons came from objects in your environment. But in the quantum view, those objects might have been in superposition states before they emitted or reflected those photons. The act of light leaving them was itself a measurement event, forcing them to adopt definite properties. So when you see something, you're not passively observing a pre-existing reality. You're participating in the creation of classical reality from quantum possibility. Your consciousness, powered by light, is helping to collapse wave functions, to make the universe definite, to transform potential into actual. This is why some physicists suggest consciousness plays a fundamental role in quantum mechanics. Not because consciousness has magical properties, but because consciousness requires information processing, which requires interactions, which require particle exchanges, which are usually mediated by photons. Consciousness and light are intertwined at the deepest level. You are not separate from the physical universe observing it from outside. You're part of the universe observing itself from inside, using light as the tool of observation, collapsing quantum possibilities into experienced reality with every photon that enters your eyes and gets processed by your visual system. As you drift toward sleep now, let this understanding settle in. You're not just a passive observer of reality. You're an active participant in its manifestation, in the ongoing process by which quantum possibilities become classical actualities, mediated by the fundamental currency of light, of electromagnetic radiation carrying energy and information through space-time. Let yourself feel that participation. You're helping to create the universe moment by moment through your observations, through your interactions, through the constant flow of photons between you and your environment. You're part of the measurement apparatus through which the cosmos observes and updates itself. And when you sleep, that process continues at a reduced level. Your eyes close, limiting visual input. Your brain shifts modes, processing internal information rather than external stimuli. But the quantum dance continues. Your body still exchanges photons with the environment, radiating infrared heat, absorbing ambient radiation, participating in the endless network of quantum interactions that makes reality solid and definite. You can rest in that knowledge. The universe doesn't need your conscious observation to continue existing. Other observers, other measurement events, other interactions are constantly occurring everywhere, collapsing wave functions, making reality definite. Your participation is real, but not essential. The cosmos will maintain itself while you sleep. So let consciousness fade. Let the active observation cease. Let your role in manifesting reality diminish to the passive exchange of thermal photons between your sleeping body and the cool air around you. Let the quantum universe continue its processes without your awareness, trusting that morning will bring renewal, that waking will restore your active participation in the cosmic observation. The photons will continue their work all night, carrying energy, transmitting information, mediating interactions, collapsing wave functions, making reality definite moment by moment. They don't need your consciousness to function. They just follow their nature, propagating at the speed of light, behaving as both particles and waves, existing in superposition until the moment of interaction. Your body will continue its work too, maintaining your pattern, repairing cellular damage, consolidating memories, processing the day's experiences. All of it powered by stored chemical energy that came from food that came from sunlight. All of it radiating waste heat as infrared photons. All of it participating in the flow of energy through the biosphere and ultimately back into space. Everything is connected through light. Everything is maintained by energy flows. Everything participates in the universe's grand project of converting organized energy into dispersed radiation over cosmological timescales. And you, lying here peacefully, are a small but real part of that vast process. Let that perspective bring peace. You're exactly where you should be, doing exactly what you should be doing, participating exactly as you need to participate. There's no pressure to be more, to understand more, to accomplish more right now. Right now, your role is simply to rest, to let consciousness dim, to allow your body to enter its maintenance mode while you sleep. The universe will take care of the rest. The laws of physics will continue operating whether you're aware of them or not. Photons will continue propagating. Energy will continue transforming. Entropy will continue increasing. And temporary pockets of organization, like you, will continue existing for their brief moments before dissolving back into the cosmic flow. You don't need to worry about any of it right now. You just need to sleep, to rest, to let go of all the complexity and understanding we've explored tonight, letting it settle into your unconscious mind, where it can integrate and inform your future experience without requiring active conscious processing. Let the light of awareness dim completely now. Let thought cease. Let the endless analysis stop. Let everything we've discussed fade into background knowledge, present but not active, integrated but not demanding attention. You've learned what you needed to learn. Now you can rest. One final thought before consciousness fades completely. Everything we've explored tonight, all these revelations about light and energy and the nature of reality, they all point to a single profound truth. Unity. Everything is connected. Everything is made of the same fundamental stuff arranged in different patterns. Everything participates in the same cosmic flows of energy and information. The photon entering your eye right now came from somewhere, carried energy and information across space, and is about to become part of you, absorbed and transformed into neural signals that contribute to your conscious experience. That photon might have been part of a distant star before it was emitted. It might have been locked up in matter for millions of years before being released in some reaction. It might have been created just moments ago in a light bulb filament. But wherever it came from, it's now part of your story, part of your experience, contributing to who you are in this moment. And soon, when your body metabolizes food and radiates heat, new photons will be created that carry away energy that was briefly part of you. Those photons will travel into the environment, be absorbed by other systems, contribute to other stories. You're not an isolated island of consciousness floating in an alien universe. You're a node in a vast network of energy and information exchange. You're connected to everything else through the photons you emit and absorb, through the atoms you exchange with the environment, through the gravitational and electromagnetic fields that extend from you throughout space. Every breath you take exchanges atoms with the atmosphere. Every photon you emit carries information about your temperature, your chemical composition, your state of being. Every photon you absorb brings information from the external world, updating your internal model of reality, allowing you to navigate and respond to your environment. You're in constant conversation with the universe through these exchanges. You're not observing reality from outside. You're participating in it from within, affecting and being affected by everything around you, linked through the fundamental interactions mediated by photons and other particles. This interconnection extends backward in time too. The atoms in your body were forged in stars that died billions of years ago. The energy powering your thoughts came from the sun, which got it from fusion reactions that converted matter created in the Big Bang into light. You're literally made of the cosmos, organized temporarily into a form capable of understanding the cosmos. And the interconnection extends forward in time. The photons you emit today will continue traveling, potentially for billions of years, carrying away traces of your existence. The effects you have on other people, on the environment, on the course of history, however small, those effects propagate forward causally, influencing future events in ways that ramify endlessly. You're not insignificant. You're part of the causal web of the universe. Every choice you make, every action you take, every thought you have creates ripples in the fabric of reality that extend forward through time, affecting the evolution of the cosmos in ways both measurable and unmeasurable. Does this give life meaning? That's for you to decide. But it does place you in context, shows you where you fit in the grand scheme, reveals your connection to everything else that exists or has existed or will exist. You're part of something vast and ancient and ongoing, something that began with the Big Bang and will continue until the heat death, something that creates temporary islands of complexity and consciousness like you in the vast ocean of increasing entropy. The universe doesn't hand you purpose from outside, but it gives you the raw materials to create purpose from within. You have consciousness, awareness, the ability to understand and appreciate your own existence. You have the capacity to love, to create, to reduce local entropy at the cost of increasing it elsewhere, to build beautiful, complex things that matter to you and to others. That's enough. That's more than enough. You don't need cosmic significance to matter. You don't need to affect the heat death to have value. You just need to be, to experience, to participate in the brief flowering of complexity that the universe allows during this era when stars exist and energy gradients drive interesting processes. And right now, in this moment, your participation takes the form of rest, of sleep, of letting consciousness dissolve temporarily into the unconscious processes that maintain your body and mind, that consolidate memories and repair damage and prepare you for tomorrow's waking experiences. So let go completely now. Let the understanding we've built tonight become part of your foundation, integrated into how you see the world, but not requiring active contemplation. Let it support you without burdening you, inform you without overwhelming you, connect you without obligating you. You are light examining light. You are energy studying energy. You are the universe knowing itself. And right now, that knowing can rest. The light of consciousness can dim to nothing. The active observation can cease. The participation can continue at a purely physical level while awareness fades into the peaceful darkness of deep, restorative, necessary sleep. The photons will continue their dance all night. Energy will keep flowing. The universe will maintain itself. And you can simply be, unconscious but alive, resting but continuing, part of the cosmic process even in sleep, held by forces and flows that operate whether you're aware of them or not. Everything is light. Everything is energy. Everything is connected. And everything, including you, is exactly as it should be, following the natural patterns that the laws of physics allow and encourage, participating in the grand unfolding of complexity from simplicity and the eventual return to simplicity again. Good night.